It can be easy to feel overwhelmed by how many brand new titles are releasing every year, and your back catalog is filling up before your very eyes. Don't worry, I'm sure you'll get to that copy of Hollow Knight that's been collecting dust in your backlog. But PAX East 2025 came and rolled on by, and I was lucky enough to be able to attend the convention and check out some of the best indie games that'll sweep this industry soon. There's been a lot of great titles already released this year that have been impressing critics and fans like Expedition 33 and Blue Prince, and even more interesting indies unveiled during the PlayStation State of Play, Xbox Showcase, and Summer Game Fest. It's thanks to indie and AA titles like these that highlight how creativity and originality is very much alive in this industry, so long as you know where to look. So I'm going to tell you, yes, you, tired gamer, about 10 indie games I played at PAX that will soothe your weary soul. These all lean more towards my personal tastes, and are only what I was able to personally check out at the convention, but I selected from a wide range of genres. If you walk away from this list thinking that one or two of these games look interesting, then I will have considered my mission complete. And if you think this list sucks ass and you could make a better one, then prove it. Tell me your most anticipated indie titles in the comments, or share some hidden gems that slipped under the cracks in the past couple of years, especially if you're a developer and you need a place to promote your game. I want to hear what you got for sale. And if you can't buy these games at the moment because Nintendo's burning a hole in your bank account with the Switch 2, adding them to your wish list on Steam or other storefronts is a free and easy way of supporting the developers. It pushes their work to be recommended to more and more people, fighting against that dreaded search engine algorithm that controls us all. Even if a game isn't for you, you might just help someone else discover their new favorite game. Starting at the top with the very first game I demoed at PAX that left a solid impression on me all weekend long. Fresh Tracks immediately sucked me in with a clean presentation, and I'm a sucker for any rhythm game, especially one with a great sense of response and feedback. With a roguelite structure featuring a Nordic mythology-inspired world, Fresh Tracks has character, but most importantly, the limited taste I had of the music was great. I actually had to force myself to leave the demo early because I was enjoying the music too much, and there's different genres of music that will determine the difficulty and experience you get, depending on what you're in the mood for. No release date yet, but a demo just released on Steam, and the developers sounded pretty confident with their progress, so I don't expect launch to be too far out in the future. Unlike our next title. Conquest Dark is a stylish Conan the Barbarian style survivor game that's all about customization and build variety, similar to what you might find in ARPGs like Diablo and Path of Exile. I only got a brief taste of the customization potential in Conquest Dark, and the game seems much more focused on combat and build variety, foregoing the light exploration elements that you'd find in something like Vampire Survivors, which inspired the game. There's a world map with different playable characters, unique weapons, and it looks like it has decent compatibility with Steam Deck. If this looks like it's up your alley, then you can jump in right now. It just released in early access with a 91% very positive rating on Steam. So if you're in the mood for addicting, barbarian-style bullet hell survival gameplay, Conquest Dark is an easy recommendation. But if you're looking for something darker, I think horror games can be a tough sell, since many of them have to rely on perfect atmosphere and a great story to deliver something memorable. They can be hard to sell with just a vertical slice first impression, but what I can say for sure about oneway.exe is that it does have a great hook, featuring a collection of different horror vignettes that are inspired by classic creepypastas of the early internet era, each centered around a unique character. There's thought and care behind the art and UI, with it harkening back to our memories of 90s and early 2000s internet flash games, message boards. If you're into analog horror, or a title filled with love of a bygone era of horror born through internet forums, then oneway.exe is one to keep an eye on. No release date yet, but there is a demo available to try on their store page, so you can experience a taste of the horror right now. But if you're in the mood for a different flavor altogether,
now, at Rangus Meats, we don't just harvest meats, we harvest heroes, and that's you!
there's a flood of indie roguelite action games that are released every year. Standing out from the crowd proves more difficult unless you have a great hook. SWAPMEAT might just do enough to make a lasting impression from the rest of them. Team up with 3 of your friends and fight to survive on a dangerous planet, stealing the body parts of your enemies and using their own powers against them. I couldn't help but be reminded of the character customization from Spore, combined with the power-stealing dynamic of something like Mega Man, with a great, almost claymation-like art style. It's chaotic and gross and one of the few multiplayer roguelite games that I can't stop thinking about. And if the developers can nail down that wacky aesthetic and potential for customization, they've got a winner on their hands. With a set release date for 2025 and ongoing playtests that you can sign up for, it hopefully won't be too long until SWAPMEAT arrives for fans of the genre. If there's one thing that stands out to me for new video games being developed, whether it be the largest AAA release or the smallest indie title, I'm all about first impressions. If you can wow me with a strong identity and striking visual style, then you've got my attention. And from a pure visual standpoint on this list, number 6 might be my favorite in this regard. If you have a deep love for the aesthetic and style of classic DC animated series like Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond, well then you've got that in common with me, and with the developers of Hank, Drowning on Dry Land, specifically citing those sources as inspiration and creating a neon noir comic book style adventure game, with some time-based manipulation mechanics, all centered on our vigilante hero Hank and his subconscious journey revolving around alcoholism. The demo I saw was short, but the style, tone, and especially the camera work really impressed me. Keep an eye on this one if you're a fan of linear puzzle narratives, kind of like Inside or Stick It to the Man. There's no release date, but there is a demo available if you'd like an early introduction to this world that instantly grabbed me with its style. Now switching gears to number 5, a more chaotic title that was probably the most I laughed while playing a demo during all of PAX. If racing mechanics combined with beat-em-up physics brawling, all in the style of a lost PS1 game sounds great to you, then Airframe Ultra might become a new little obsession for you and your friends. Race across the cyberpunk-style Mega City West, then get out of your hoverbikes and beat the shit out of your friends with whatever weapons and items you can find. It's wacky, clunky, and hilarious. I've always had a particular soft spot for multiplayer arenas that offer opportunity for on-foot and vehicular combat, and despite all 4 of us being clueless on what to do or how to play the game, we had a blast with a short demo at PAX. With seamless transition from racing to on-foot combat and back to racing, I'm also a sucker for any party game. No release date yet, and there is a demo available, but it's very stripped back and mainly there to just get a feel for the controls and some mechanics. I'd recommend waiting for a more feature-complete demo or one with online multiplayer capabilities. This game is definitely meant as a party game with friends, and if you want to have as much fun with it as I did, then I recommend that be how you first experience it. Now, almost every game for the rest of our list all feature their own flavors of chaotic gameplay, and I think no game better embraces chaos than number 4. I've been talking about style, personality, and charm this entire video, but no game I saw at PAX excels at all those elements better than CYBRLICH and the Death Cult of Labor. With animation done by a professional with former experience working at Adult Swim, CYBRLICH is a classic 90s animated cartoon come to life as a boomer shooter, combining dark fantasy, cyberpunk, and heavy metal all in a dystopian office setting. From the reload and idle animations, the gun handle bouncing with every bullet and leaving unique smoke patterns behind, to the overbearing heads-up display, I cannot emphasize enough how much I loved just watching CYBRLICH in action, let alone trying to balance the gunplay with 2 separate meters representing mental and physical health, taken care of by smoking deep weed and eating demon burgers, all while fighting off skeletons and demons. It's crazy and loud and borderline unwieldy, and I can't help but love all of it. It's early in development, no release date anytime soon, but mark my words, this game is gonna be one to remember. The love and energy I felt while playing and watching is contagious and special in a way that complete titles fail to capture, let alone to what was basically a 10-minute demo. And high action energy is a great way to segue into our next title, rounding out our top 3 with...
Sheesh, this might be a bit too much too early. Let's roll it back a bit.
If your roguelite shooters have been sorely lacking in evil parasitic fungi and cockroach navigators, then you can finally scratch that oddly specific itch with Mycopunk. With 4 distinct characters for you and 3 friends, and a whole host of customization options towards your weapons and build, I think Mycopunk can easily shine if they nail the mission variety and build potential, because it already plays like a near perfect dream. The different guns have a nice kick and sound design to them, combat is smooth and hectic, and movement is perfect. Enemies will swarm you before you know it, and they have have breakable limbs and components that reward careful aiming, but you can also go guns blazing with destructive elemental power-ups and modifications to your weapons. It's clear the developers feel confident with Mycopunk's gameplay, and their confidence isn't misplaced. While I think some elements like the hub and some aspects of the presentation could use some refinement, it can be difficult at times to distinguish enemies from the environment. I had a great time with Mycopunk, and it was one of the first games I wishlisted, and you could have some fun with it right now. There's a multiplayer demo available right now with enough content that you'll probably get an easy 5 or so hours of enjoyment with it. Gameplay variety will be the make or break for Mycopunk. With enough missions, environments, and weapon variety to back the excellent gameplay and unique setting, Mycopunk is an easy recommend for you and your friends to jump in and have a hell of a fun time when it releases later in 2025. We've seen a lot of crazy games with crazy energy behind them this whole list, but none of them would actually make you look crazy sitting at your computer desk playing them by yourself. Our penultimate champion, number 2, is the exception to that.
Listen to my secret song.
I'm a sucker for rhythm games. They're one of my gaming weaknesses. So a rhythm game that is specifically tailored to those of us who love button mashing and going absolutely fucking nuts. That's PROJEKT GODHAND, and unlike every other rhythm game I've ever played, it's not about hitting the right notes at the right time, you just have to hit the correct amount of notes. If you got 2 coming on the left, just hit any 2 keys on the left side of your keyboard. 4 on the right, just mash 4. It doesn't matter which ones. It's a really unique idea for a rhythm game that was forcing me to unlearn everything I know to just focus on hitting keys at the right time. It simultaneously makes PROJEKT GODHAND super accessible to those who might struggle with a genre, but also difficult for pros to adjust to this more casual, tool-assisted style that does a lot of the thinking for you. I had to pull myself away from the demo to check out the other stuff at PAX, and PROJEKT GODHAND, alongside my number 1 title, were the only games I actually returned to for another playthrough. With some catchy music to boot, PROJEKT GODHAND is available in early access right now for you to check out, and I can't wait to dive in more, and could easily see this as both a casual chill game for me to rot my brain to, as well as a highly difficult extreme rhythm marathon for me to master. And before we get to our number 1, let's move on to some honorable mentions. And now, my absolute favorite title of PAX East 2025, combining everything I've mentioned before: style, smooth gameplay, and a unique concept executed perfectly. We're left with only one. I would consider myself an impatient gamer. I like to think that I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I don't have a lot of patience for whatever can't immediately hook me. I'm a sucker for any game that can impress me in just 5 minutes. One common trait of many of my favorite games is that they don't waste any time to show you what they've got. It's a difficult but important element to get right, and no game at PAX this year exemplifies that idea better than White Knuckle. A first-person survival horror that's all about using your 2 hands to climb out of a deep abyss, escaping from whatever sinister presence accompanies you down below. I knew White Knuckle was special the moment I tried it. I also knew how expertly designed it was, when I was able to skip the tutorial and jump right into the buttery smooth controls without missing a single beat. Finding little crevices to squeeze my way up, swinging across bars like a kid at a jungle gym, and exploring an intricate vertical labyrinth, all while balancing inventory management and augments to improve your run. I can't emphasize enough how expertly crafted White Knuckle is. It has a supreme mastery of exploration and momentum in a way that can only be achieved by a developer that loves their work and knows exactly what makes a game fun. I spoke with them a little bit about exploits and speedruns, as I mentioned titles like Super Metroid that reward experts who can sequence break the game, achieving fast completion times and early upgrades with subsequent playthroughs, and the developer assured me that there are entire segments of White Knuckle that could be completely skipped with enough skill and practice from the player, which is perfect for this game. You really have to experience it yourself to understand what I'm talking about, but if you're like me who values smooth, responsive gameplay, where the world reacts to your every action with a satisfying response, an element that I believe is shared among some of the greatest titles ever made, then you need to play White Knuckle. And you've got no excuse to wait. It just released in early access with future levels, secrets, and game modes planned, and there's a demo available to try for free. This video was very long overdue, but I hope you found something in this list that caught your attention. This industry succeeds with talented artists pouring their hearts into their games for us to play, and it's up to us to share them, talk about them, like in any medium. If you want originality to succeed, you have to be willing to try something new and pay for it. And if you find something you love, then share it with your friends. I can't emphasize enough how your new favorite game is waiting out there for you somewhere. You just have to find it. Okay, I'll return to an eternal slumber now. You can expect my next video sometime in 2027 when GTA 6 actually releases. Okay, good night.